Well, back to usual, eh? Okay, no Max today again.
It's just like old times. Just like old times.
Like old times, and by old times we mean 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and like the 4 weeks before that, or was it 5?
Oh yeah. But it's still the PHNX Rising podcast coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating applications. Visit circlek.com for details. Right, Rees, quiet news day, huh?
Yeah, nothing happened around the league.
Nothing going
pretty
on.
Boring. No Open Cup matches
no
at
Phoenix
all.
Rising stuff. There's no
big
other
league,
news.
world
Nothing in
changing.
USL.
Yeah.
No Open Cup. Nothing going on, right? No. No, it's been pretty busy, hasn't it?
It has.
Wow, what a 24 hours we've been having here.
I mean, when I saw the tweet from one of the Athletic reporters last night, I was like, oh my gosh, about the USL promotion relegation announcement. Because it just felt surreal. I know it's not a full-blown announcement, and I still do have my doubts, but seeing it in writing is still nuts to me.
I know, but it's coming. It's coming. Promotion and relegation will be coming to USL in 2028. Is what the league has agreed and what the league is planning on. Right around the time we're getting a Division 1 league as well. We will get onto that later on in the show. But first, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by talking about last weekend in El Paso. Phoenix Rising drawing 4-4. 8 goals in the game and another one that was disallowed. As Phoenix Rising come away with their first point of the Paso era. Now, I obviously wrote my piece up after the game, so you guys know what my thoughts are. Rees, I want to know your first thoughts coming off of that game.
My main thought is that they showed fight. To me, if that match was played a year ago and Rising was down 4-1, the match would have ended 4-1. To show fight like that, when it got to 4-2, me and Max, which was a shocker, I was talking to Max, but he said
Max was watching the game.
That's another shocker too. But we were talking
Max
about
wasn't
how
on vacation.
we were talking about how they kind of never lost that belief. You kind of felt something when it went to 4-2 and then 4-3 still, and then obviously 4-4. It was just that fight that Rising showed once going down 4-1. The attack really moved at the level that we expected to them in preseason, and that from when it's 4-1 onwards is a great sign. But when the first 55, 60 minutes is not that good of a sign.
No.
Two very contrasting parts of the match.
I think it's one of those ones, look, as I look at it now and think about this game, it's hard because on the one hand, you think, the fight back, all of that. Positive, you're on a good run, you feel okay about the fact that they fought back and all of that, and they scored 4 goals, and this team doesn't score that many goals. And then you think about what happened at the other end of the pitch for the first hour, and you also think about the fact that El Paso sat back and kind of defended and didn't do so very well when Rising found their way back into the game. And you think that El Paso scored 4, and it... I mean, God, El Paso haven't done that for a few years now.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I felt like we saw the proest of pros and the lowest of the cons in Paso system with it. I mean, Rising was exposed multiple times with how they played their fullbacks. Gabby Torres and Memo Diaz were given all the space in the world, and El Paso kind of struggled to take full advantage of it. They did at times, but they could have really piled on if they had been able to find it a bit more. And then the free-flowing attacking football we saw in that last 40-minute stretch is that highest of highs.
Yeah, make sure to leave a like, by the way. You don't want to...
I don't want to know.
You don't want to see Phoenix Rising looking like a mess like Max Simpson is down there. But Yeah, I agree. I think, and here's the thing: we know that was kind of part of the plan here for El Paso as the game was going on. They knew that Memo and Gabby were going to get space. It was kind of the way that the game was going. Rising attack with the fullbacks. They have the midfield where it kind of splits, where you had Hope and you had Noble moving up the field, going out into wide spaces, not really coming back as quickly as maybe you'd have. Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily their fault. It's tactically where they are. But it did leave open spaces out wide. The idea of targeting Memo and targeting Gabby was part of the plan for El Paso. And the fact that they had some success with it does make you a little bit concerned, because you think, and I said this in my post-match column in the morning after piece, that ultimately it makes you worry if things could have been worse, and you're saying that after conceding 4.
Yeah.
It makes you worry when you place them in the top teams in this league, what exactly is going to happen in those moments. I want to be positive. I want to take the positive of the goals and the fight back and kind of run with that. But I just think there's still too much there that still needs to be fixed. I think what it showed was the fact that with the injuries on in the left back position, team was going to struggle a bit there with some of the issues with, I mean, yes, you have some of your goal scorers that are available there, but not all of them or not all the creative players, right? Jearl Margaritha's still out. The first half, by and large, didn't look great. The second half looked better, but only really after El Paso started to just kind of sit back. And that was another thing, right? They sat back. They chose to sit back. Is Wilmer Cabrera. I'm not necessarily hugely shocked at that. But they sat back, invited pressure, and they weren't very good at withstanding that. Some teams are going to be better than others when it comes to withstanding pressure. To me, the fact that they struggled at times still to manage all of that, the fact that they struggled to create chances in the first half, I do feel as though Noble Akalo's header in the first half kind of flattered Rising. I don't think they really, to be honest, wrote a goal in that half. But it did change the momentum somewhat going into the break. It changed, I think, the narrative around that half and what it was. I personally think it was a poor first half. But what are you going to do? That's the thing. To me, I feel as though the second half almost of the Tulsa game definitely continued on into the first half of the El Paso game in some ways, in just a bit of a toothless huff and puff kind of attack.
Yeah.
And yeah, they blossom in the second half, but again, it's once El Paso have started to sit back. So really, and this is kind of the thing for me, Rising have to be able to go into a game and dictate the terms more so, I think, than they did. And that doesn't mean having possession. It doesn't mean having territory. It means genuinely being able to go out and you're going to find ways to create chances, to not worry and not have us sitting back here talking about what the opponent did in a game as potential for why you stepped up at this moment or why you look better in this. You need to go out and do it because you are capable of doing it and you're going to play through opponents regardless of what they plan to do. If the entire narrative of the game is being mostly, we're kind of phrasing it around what the opposition are doing for a lot of it, that's not really good enough on Rising's perspective.
Yeah, and to me, the point where that match really changed in that second half is when El Paso took off Gabby Torres, took off Memo Diaz, brought on Alvaro Quesada and Ricky Ruiz. They also took off Tommy Moshabane at that point for Andy Cabrera. And then Rising brought in Emil Cuello. That's when the match flipped. Rising was able to attack with much more cohesion. It's not a diss towards Harvey Neville at that left back spot. I thought he was serviceable, but he's not serviceable to the role that Rising want that left back to be. If you want it to be just kind of a traditional fullback, he can play it, but that's not what Rising are asking of that spot. And you could tell that almost immediately once Emil Cuello came onto the pitch, that role was built for him. He played a few good passes, just grew into the game immediately, and he really is going to be key to how this system looks over the course of this season.
Yeah, no, I think he is going to be. Should we have a look at the numbers from this last game? We can talk about them now. And Rising there, you see It's actually pretty level on XG, funnily enough. But again, Rising with the possession, they do take a lot of shots. They got a lot of shots on target. But again, most of that coming in the second half, really. And I think that's kind of the talking point from our perspective. Would you not say, Rees?
Yeah. What was it? Let me pull back up. I just closed it. I had the shots for the first and second half. 4 shots in the first half, 1 on target, and then 12 shots and 6 on target in the second half. They just picked it up, as you mentioned. What was it? How many shots they have in total last week? 2 or against Tulsa?
On
or was
target,
it 3?
I believe it was 3.
Yeah. So more shots on target in that second half than a whole the 135 minutes of play before it. They showed promise, but they just need to deliver a full 90 with that promise.
That's the challenge. That's always the challenge. Yeah, I mean, as we look at some of what they did, I think one thing to note that you brought up Emil Cuello coming off the bench, right? Managing to get him back in. He suffered an ankle sprain in pre-season, and managing to get him back into the team and get some minutes in there. We can actually have a listen because we haven't had a look at really Emil Cuello under Pamadou Carr. Prior to this, we know he's a bit of a guy who's been knocked around a bit positionally. So I did ask Pa about Emmy's, kind of what position he sees him in. Let's have a listen.
For me, Emmy is a natural footballer. And when you have natural footballers in your team and the calmness that he brings to the team, his high football IQ, you could see that with the pass to Sacco and just what that relief of pressure that he can bring for the team, as well as taking the ball and going 30, 40 yards with it, dribble. So, I mean, it's a luxury to have a player like Emmy because he can play multiple positions, which is, in our system, very suited for him because he can move inside, he can move wide. So you can basically call him a positionless player, but we are very happy with him, and he's a huge leader in this team.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see how he uses him. I mean, the bigger question for me is what's going to be going forward, right? You get that first appearance under the legs of the season. What's he going to do in the upcoming games? I mean, I'm also intrigued to see how, how it comes together in terms of how many minutes he can play this week and so on, because you obviously don't want to rush the guy. You don't want it to be too much as you go forward. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see, I think, what we see from him in the next couple of weeks.
I don't think it's going to be as aggressive as that fullback role was under Diego last year, just because I think that was a little, I don't want to say absurd, but absurd might be the only way to describe it, just because of how high Cuello was playing in possession for Rising. I mean, he if you didn't know better, you would think he was, a 10 naturally, or his position was a 10 just constantly. Instead, he was asked to play as a left back defensively, which was just kind of chaotic to me. Under Pa, I think it's just gonna be that same kind of thing we've seen through the first couple matches, where it's just deep lying playmaker deep in the midfield. It can charge forward when needed, but still the main goal is just passing from back. And Rising did a lot of that against El Paso, long passes from back, which kind of shocked me because I know you mentioned before the match that it was windy there. Was the wind as bad as it was during the day in the match? Because
it kind of got better, but it's worth. And there's also a look. There's an extent to this to which on the field it wasn't that bad. There were gusts.
Okay.
So when the ball was up higher, it would catch it sometimes. It did, I think, calm down a bit. When I first arrived at the field, actually, the one corner flag was just going nuts.
Okay.
And it wasn't quite so as the game went on. But it still was not great.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the one thing that kind of stood out to me after you said that is that, I mean, it was Mo Traore who played a ton of long balls out of the back. And we know his passing ability is exceptional, but that also helped Rising kind of get back into the game on the attack. They broke down El Paso's defense. I mean, Damian Rivera had quite a few touches on the left side, who, again, was another bright spot, but just lacks that final oomph, that final shot, that pass, whatever it may be. But that it is where Rising picked it up, that deep passing. That deep playmaking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Any final thoughts at this point? As we kind of wrap up the discussion on that last game.
The 2 set piece goals. I don't know how much you can really blame that on right. Like You can, but I think El Paso made that a point of emphasis in preseason. Against Colorado Springs, they had quite a few set piece routines that were about a centimeter away from scoring. They clearly, Memo Diaz, they value that as a part of their attack. So I wouldn't be too concerned by giving up the 2 set piece goals. That would be something that this team does all year long.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I think we've mostly covered that now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Pretty confident. We happy with how that went? Happy with the point or no?
In the way the match was, yes, but I mean, it's a point that feels like a win just because you were down 4-1, but you can't take it as a win because of how you were down 4-1 at that same point. It's a weird yin and yang part of it.
It is indeed. Right. Well, when we come back, we're going to be looking ahead to Rising's upcoming game against Rhode Island. Reese, I saw you taking a drink out of your cup there, weren't you?
I was.
I mean, you could have gone to America's Thirst Stop instead.
I should have.
You should have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get
Got a
yourself
nice polar pop.
Got
Yeah.
yourself a nice polar pop. You know what? Max has disappeared for this one. I bet you he popped to Circle K on route to wherever he was going
100%.
on vacation. Of course he did. And if he's driving there, he's going to fill up at Circle K as well. Why? Because he gets that discount. He gets that discount with the Inner Circle program. Again, if you haven't already signed up for Circle K's Inner Circle program, it is completely free. You save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. So if you're going on a road trip, great one to get you started there. And you save 3 cents per gallon every day thereafter. That does move on up a higher discount as well as time goes on. If you make it up to the premium member level, they have plenty of other member exclusive deals and discounts as well that appear on there, including the Polar Pop deal. Reese, you do need to go get yourself a Polar Pop instead of that one, I'm afraid. But you can join the Inner Circle for free, unlike Reese, who's slacking over here.
I know.
By
I'm
downloading
like
the Circle K app today. Sign up for it now, Reese. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. And, right, we've been speaking about road trips there, but, Reese, go catch a Waymo now over to maybe catch one home after playing some darts,
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. So remind me, we've spoken about your song, Max's song. I'm going to move it on. If Damon's in a Waymo, Damon is in a Waymo, and he's singing he's just singing his lungs out right in there. What's he singing? Producer Damon.
That's a good
what
question.
Would he sing?
I can't think, man.
You can't think?
I genuinely think every knowledge of music I have just left my brain when you ask that question. So
wow.
Migos.
But of course, you can.
Boys
sing
are back in town. Give me
Boys
that.
are back in town. He'll be singing
Yeah,
that.
I
No
can
judgment
see.
in a Waymo. They're nice, modern cars, really comfortable ride. And of course, you too can be screaming whatever song you want at the top of your lungs as you're getting a ride by downloading the Waymo One app and riding today. Right, Reese. There's a game coming up this weekend.
There is. Another one.
Rhode Island.
USL Championship finalists.
USL Championship finalist, Rhode Island.
Do they have a banner like Tottenham does for their Champions League finalists?
But see, here's the thing. They actually won something. They won the Eastern Conference,
They did.
Whereas that's not quite what happened with, with
Tottenham. Yeah.
Tottenham, I mean, what they say about Tottenham, trophy 0.
Yeah.
Not quite true. They have won things in the past, but we're talking about the past here.
Yeah, deep in the past.
Reese may not have been alive for almost
Very
all
good
of
shot.
them.
Yeah.
I think you were alive for one, and it was
I
a
think
League
so.
Cup.
Yeah.
Or as it was called at the time, the Carling Cup.
yeah.
Now called the Carabao Cup. We'll keep doing this to wind down.
Wasn't it called what? Was it called the Coca-Cola Cup?
It was at one point the Coca-Cola Cup. Yeah. It was the Milk Cup as well.
Oh, what other former sponsors did it have?
All right, we're going to stop ripping on Spurs right now. But we are going to talk about this upcoming game against Rhode Island. I tell you what, one big important thing, and we can take it off the bat. Mo Traore obviously was the hero last week with the goal, but I asked him about what steps they have to take defensively to step up and not concede 4 goals again. Let's have a quick listen.
I'd say communication, taking responsibilities, because starting from me, like communication, taking responsibilities, and just putting yourself on the right spot in the right time. And then I think we got a long way to go. So. And a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Look, it's obviously going to be a bit more of a challenge. We mentioned it in the last segment about how, things didn't really come together for Rising in that game against El Paso defensively. It was a struggle. Some of their weaknesses were exposed, and you're playing a tougher team in Rhode Island now, aren't you, as well?
Yeah, they've got from their team that made the USL Championship final, ended up losing 3-0 to Switchbacks. They've retained a lot of their core. They've retained a lot of guys that scored a ton. Noah Fuson had 9 goals, 10 assists. Albert Deco and JJ Williams both had 11 goals each. Though Williams is a bit inflated, the former Rising man had 8 goals in 3 matches to end the year. 5 were in the playoffs, and then a hat trick against El Paso. And then they just went out and signed Maxi Rodriguez from Detroit, who had 10 himself. They've got a lot of guys that can score from various parts of the pitch. They did struggle against Charleston Battery, but that should really be expected in a sense, because Charleston, they're one of the best teams, if not the best team in this league. 2-0, and they conceded both goals from set pieces, both goals for Cal Jennings in that one. I think the set pieces I mentioned for Rising's back line, that's not something you should really worry, because I think El Paso kind of planned that out as a part of their game plan. For me, looking at how Charleston defended set pieces, Rising should look to plan to attack that when they have opportunities. We saw Noble Cuello score off his header last week. The 2 goals that Rhode Island conceded to Charleston
were both from corners.
And weren't very pretty either. It was defensive lapses.
Right, and when you have a big, tall guy like Noble Acallo who can get his head up on it, and he is towering over some of these defenders, and you've got Hope Aveyevu putting a good corner in, a good crossing in those moments, you're giving yourself a good chance. I do think that Rising could have a goal in them, especially from an opportunity like that. I really do.
And I think that Hope has the service that we haven't seen in a while for Rising, where you can kind of rely on it. I mean, last year we had a joke every time Max filmed one, that was that. They weren't going to score because Max was the bad luck. Maybe that's why they didn't score. Max is the bad luck. But it seems like they do have it with Hope this year as a set piece taker, which when you have that guy in Okello, that combo is perfect.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, look, it's one of those things where, Rising haven't created, I think, enough from open play against teams that aren't sitting back. And if you're going to be that kind of a team, you've also got to get sharper in one regard, and one regard often that's helpful is set pieces. Again, you just have the physical height advantage in there, the ability to just manage those up moments, and you have to take advantage. You can't be in a position where you've got like 20 crosses in, like Rising had in the first game against FC Tulsa, and you're just not taking advantage of them. So there's that. They've got to be defensively a bit tighter, a lot tighter, to be perfectly honest, than they were against El Paso. I mean, who are you picking out of that Rhode Island squad right now?
Just any really member of that attack, that front 2 they have, because they play kind of a 3-5-2 system. Dequa, Williams, Fuse on those 3, really, really clinical finishers. They've got, that's probably my main 3. They've also got good midfield. And then they've got former San Diego Loyal guy, Coque Vegas, who I'm sure will have a very warm welcome in him to the South End. Their back line they did lose Steven Turnbull, who was a very key piece, or one of the key pieces to them going on that run. But I think they've done a good job replacing in the aggregate. They've kept quite a few guys. I don't know if I can really pick out one singular piece for this team, just because I think they work so well together as a unit, as a full 11.
Absolutely. And I mean, let's look at the front line you were talking about in there. Okay, Noah Fuson, big assists guy. Last year in particular, right, with double-digit assists and getting pretty close to that in goals as well. So he's a good, rounded forward player. He's going to set people up. He's going to take them himself. Then you look at some of the other guys in there. Dequa, obviously, a perfect example there. Someone who, maybe didn't fit in as well, perhaps, as you'd have liked in Rhode Island, maybe, compared to what he can do elsewhere. But he's put up a 20-goal season in this league when he was with Pittsburgh Riverhounds. He still scored 11 last year, even when I think I had some questions around whether he was playing at his best. Okay? But a double-digit goal scorer in there. And you've also got, I mean, they brought JJ Williams off the bench last week. Yeah. Right? JJ Williams, who again is just a pretty good goal scorer that, I mean, you've got to be happy with him. When he played part of the season with Phoenix Rising, he scored 3 for Rising, 9 with Tulsa. He scored 12 with Tampa Bay last year. He scored 11 with Rhode Island. He's always around that double-digit mark. He always gets double-digit goals. Every year, he is Mr. Reliable right now. You know that JJ Williams going to chip in with double-digit goals. That's just consistency over time in this league that we haven't seen from a lot of the players with Phoenix Rising. And that's a really key part there, right? When you bring back all of those kind of pieces in there, and you're able to do it by adding someone like Maxi Rodriguez as well, and the role that he can play in the midfield and the respect that he has around the league. I mean, this is a midfielder who scored 10 goals last year as well.
Yeah.
Right? They are a dangerous team. I don't expect Rhode Island to come in to this game and not get a goal. I don't expect them to come in and Rising to keep a clean sheet in this game because I think they have a lot of threats there. I also want to say that I think we saw with Rhode Island last year what happens typically with an expansion team. They were slow. When Rising met them early in the season, they were slow. They weren't at their best. That was probably one of Rising's better performances of the year. Remy Cabral had a lot of fun in that game. Remy Cabral with the brace. Fede Varela with the final one. Yeah. And I believe there was a 6-second call in there as well.
There was, because that's how... Because
Rhode Island scored their goal from an indirect free kick in the penalty area on a 6-second, we believe 6-second call.
And then Varela immediately scored afterwards, I
know, scenes. But this is just a team that's come on so far from that, right? They were started off slowly to start the season last year. They built on it over time. They ended up just about missing out on the chance of hosting a playoff game even. They could have done so. They weren't a million miles off of it. And in the end, they push on all the way to the USL Championship final. They made history. They were the first team ever to prevent Louisville City from making it to the conference final.
They had Louisville's number last year. They beat them really a couple times very handedly.
They did.
It's like 5-2 in one match in the league. I think it's 4-3 in another. Just, you don't really see Louisville get beat by that, and you don't see Louisville get beat by that twice in a season. So Kano Smith there has done a heck of a job there.
I just think Kano Smith he's a good, clearly knows what he's doing over there. It's been, I think, a really good start to the long-term project at Rhode Island. I think they're only building even further from where they are right now. I think it's gonna be on the up for them still. I think they're going to bounce back relative to last week, and I just think that's an issue. Now, if we look at Rising's perspective, who's stepping up this week? If Rising are getting a result, who's stepping up this week?
That's a good question. I think it depends on how the starting lineup looks, because there are questions on, if Emil Cuello's 90-minute fit.
The question about other players if they're fit as well. I obviously know Carl Sainz as well. Yeah, he's off with Haiti. He's off playing in Azerbaijan.
I think it's gonna be whoever fills in for Saint there. Is it Skiers? Is it Okello? Could it even be Julia? Whatever midfielder option that is going to be key there, because we saw how Saint was kind of stranded alone at times in that midfield because of how high Hope and Noble were pushing up. Whoever is that 6 role for Rising on Saturday is going to have a good match.
That is the question, isn't it? That is the question. It's gosh, I don't know. I don't know where to even predict this one right now, but I kind of do, because I already had to give a prediction on a podcast with Rhode Island.
It's tough to predict because Rhode Island they've only played one, but they haven't gotten off the mark, so they'll be hungry for that. Rising would want to prevent goals after conceding so many last week. I don't want to say it's, but I can see a very high scoring game again, just because I think that might be the nature. I think we're going to have a lot of multiple goals for each team games this season, as scary as that may sound. I think Rising's attack is going to be good, and their defense won't be good enough. Goalie man Pat, 5-4 Rising. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. I think I'd go a 2-2 draw.
Another go with a 2-2 draw.
Yeah.
So I have some of the I have Max's prediction as well before we move too far on here, but I'm going to go to producer Kyle as well. Kyle.
Ooh, I don't know. This is kind of a tough one. Rhode Island, where are they at? They're 9th.
Yeah, but they've only played one. Everyone else has played 2.
One. So they're just getting started. I'll go high scoring 2. 3-2 Rhode Island.
I'm going 2-1 Rhode Island. Max is also going 2-1 Rhode Island. I did say this earlier on the call I had with some guys from Rhode Island that to me, it's. I feel as though Rising still have enough question marks at the back that they're going to concede against a team that you'd hope they're bright enough to understand where Rising's deficiencies are. I think they've been made pretty clean and clear and plain to see for most people. And to me, if they can take advantage of that, I still think Rising have a goal in them. I think between Isan Sako, Remy Cabral, and those set-piece moments, possibly even if we were to see maybe Jearl Margaritha make his first appearance of the season, I believe he's making good progress in terms of recovery from injury. I'd be shocked if we see him start, because I think you have to ease a player like that in, especially at this time in the year. You don't want to over push them and cause longer term recurrences. But if he is available for this match, I think he's someone who can also chip in. Damien Rivera. My view on Rivera is that so far we've seen a player that has lots of parts of his game that are there. He's tricky. He runs at players. He takes them on one-on-one. He often wins the one-on-ones. What he's missing is the final ball. Yeah. What he does after that point, the end product isn't quite there yet. And if we see that end product continue to improve over the course of the season, he has the chance to be a really tricky option off the wide areas. You'd hope that eventually something there comes together and it all pulls together, and Rising manage to, find a way to pull it off. But I still just feel as though the talent that is in that squad for Rhode Island, it's immense. It's immense. It really is.
It is immense, and it's just like, how do you slow down that attack while playing your style of football?
Mm-hmm.
I know through their playoff run, it was counterattacking for Rhode Island. Not so much sit back, but more than willing to defend when needed, and then just go when it's time to attack through their 3-5-2, which wingbacks that empowers that. How can Rising play attacking, play with their fullbacks up, and limit the transition? Because that was one thing we spoke about in the first segment, was that is something that El Paso didn't take that advantage to the fullest, but they did at times. And Rising need to slow that down, need to slow Rhode Island's counterattack down.
I'm just going to say, by the way, we're going to talk about Open Cup better later, but I just want to bring it up because we are on upset watch right now. Little Rock Rangers have had 2 shots all game. They have played 68 minutes, and they are beating Birmingham Legion 1-0 on 39% possession with 2 shots, full stop, 2 shots overall. Now, Legion, you can tell they're starting to panic. They brought Ronaldo Damas on.
Oh my gosh.
They brought Kobe Hernandez Foster on. They're making those moves. Oof.
Oh my gosh.
We are on upset
Birmingham
watch.
Missed a penalty too earlier.
And they missed a penalty. Rees, you making this even better. Wow. 24 minutes in, Luca Dorado Pereira missing a penalty as well.
That is peak cup football, and I absolutely love to hear that.
Wow. Other upsets earlier today as well. You got to shout them out. We'll do so later on. And we will also be talking after the break. I'll catch my words there in a second. Specifically about the big news in USL today. Promotion and relegation coming to USL. But first, Rees, I heard obviously a lot of the guys talking about promotion and relegation today. They love a bit of competition. The players. Have you heard they got some competition going on about Spinatos?
I have.
And have you participated yet?
I have not.
I know that you're a big
basketball
basketball guy. You play intramural basketball, don't you?
Well, I play, but that's used very loosely.
Very loosely. You sure? I reckon you could do a job. Go take part in their horse contest that they spell in pizza instead. Come on, Rees. You know you can.
With pizza on the line, pressure
this
makes
man
diamonds.
has extra strength when pizza's on the line.
Pressure makes diamonds. I'd be a diamond in that spot.
Absolutely. It's the place to be for Suns fans. They're hosting watch parties throughout the season with all kinds of stuff giving away, chance to win 3 Suns tickets, gift certificates, and more exciting prizes. And of course, the pizza competition. You can get all the info on the watch parties and that basketball contest at Spinato'sPizzeria.com. Spinato's, the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns. Now, meanwhile, we're also looking ahead. This summer, Phoenix Rising are probably going to want to sign some players. But if you're looking to buy up a house, whether you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned pro, buying a home can be tricky. That's why we recommend our friend Carol Royce. She's got off-market properties that haven't been picked up. You won't find them on Zillow or other websites as well. You're only going to get them by going through the Carol Royce team, and you're going to get the best home for the best possible price. And if you're worried about financing, don't worry about it. She works with the best lenders, ensuring you get the best rates and loan options. Carol's so confident that you'll love your new home that if within 18 months you aren't happy with it, the Carol Royce team will buy it back. Pretty good deal, yeah, Rees?
Sounds good.
Sounds good to Rees. He may have to in the future, right? You may have to. He's a little bit young for that now, but eventually he'll get there. If you're ready to find your dream home, take the next step. Give Carol Royce a call, 480-776-5231, or you can visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com, and 480-776-5231. Terms and conditions apply. Right. So, Rees, promotion and relegation.
Finally, but not finally. Kind of finally. They announced it. But when USL Division 1 was announced, I was skeptical.
Yeah,
I'm less skeptical, but I still am skeptical.
I know. Now that we're thinking about this in Division 1 and thinking about the fact that Rising are going to need a new home, I just realized that was a much better transition for that one. But you know what? We'll maybe use that again in the future. Right. Division 1 is coming, presumably, for USL. And today, the big announcement, promotion and relegation is finally coming to USL. We've been talking about this for years, and it may be coming. 2028, the year, it looks like, around the same time as that launch of that Division 1. The idea will be to set up a three-league pyramid of USL leagues at Divisions 1, 2, and 3, involving the Championship, League 1, and this yet-to-be-named Division 1 league. Yeah, it's coming.
2028 is what the announcement was, right?
2028, yeah.
That's a long time, but also not that long. It's
not as long as you think it is.
Exactly.
It's 25 right now.
It's I'm very interested to see how how the sanctioning for PLS works. What is it? Professional League Standards? Is that PLS, right?
Yes. To go to Man Pat's comment on the Ventures say a move to the winter schedule, I'm not so sure about that. They did that before with the announcement of D1, and it was also said at the time that they weren't planning a change to the calendar at this time, that it was just a description of the fact that it could be 7 or 8, I believe. So I wouldn't read too much into that description, by the way, of the 27, 28. But yeah, it's coming, Rees.
Yeah. I don't know. I doubt.
I mean, it's USL, right?
Yeah,
we're kind of
that's the
used to
thing.
at this point the fact that with USL, sometimes you kind of have to do believe it when you see it. But they're taking clear steps towards it, right? They haven't got details yet, which until you get to the point of details, you kind of got to be, thinking about this one.
Yeah.
But you know what? we're going to stay on the positive, right? Let's hear a bit here. I did chat with Pamadou Carr earlier today about his thoughts on promotion and relegation coming to USL. Let's have a listen.
I think it's amazing. I think it's aligned with the rest of the global soccer world, and I think it will just make it more interesting. The fact also it brings if people will like it, more pressure, which is always good, and I think it's that's what football is about, because not only are you fighting or just waiting there, until the last moment I can get into the playoff, but now you have to fight to get in there, otherwise you're out. And I think it's a added welcome pressure. That's the way I will view it, because sometimes what is the pressure? When you know that this year, if it goes bad, next year you're still in the same division, right? There's no repercussion of that, but now there's full repercussion of it. So that, I think, for the fans, I think is brilliant, because also for them it will mean a lot more, and the support will be also a lot more different, rather than just waiting for playoffs to show up, right? So it's important that help from the fans, but as well as for the football players, because now is an added pressure for them to perform as well. And that's the difference between when you play in Europe in other leagues than you play in North America, because that's not an added pressure, because you know that next year it's an opportunity. But now that opportunity may be gone, and then you in the and you're in the second division. So it's brilliant. It's wonderful. Great news.
Do you think it creates any pressure on MLS? You know, you'd be having some experience to the news that came out today.
I don't know about that. I think it's just important just to focus on your own division. I think for me that's the most important thing. MLS has have a track record, wonderful, 30 years in the making. Started in '94 and still ongoing, and more you see in the soccer, it will come around this side of the world, right? In North America, I think North America has a possibility to become a great global soccer place to be. So I don't think we should look at it in that thoughts of what MLS is doing. I think MLS is MLS, USL is USL, and I think it's very important that people just focus on their work.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I also spoke with Mo Traore about it afterwards, and he said, that it was, players like to compete, all of that's a good thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much there is almost for us to talk about at this point, because there's so little detail out there. But it's just impressive that they finally managed to get the buy-in from ownership at large, right? I know that, obviously it was being spoken about on Golazo earlier today, and it was, when certain people first came into the league, it was going to be, felt like, this had been pushed to the league from consulting groups, and this is something that's going to be big and important and easy to get through. And then they go to Colorado Springs to the mid-year meeting up there, and no, it wasn't easy to kind of ram it through the ownership. The fact that they've now taken that step, that a super majority have passed it, to me is you're getting that buy-in there from ownership in a way that you didn't really have before, and I just think that's such a huge positive. I mean, long term, what do we think this really does for USL?
It depends on how they can market the Division One, or really all of it, because I mean, the MLS TV deal at the moment with Apple TV, a lot of MLS executives aren't happy. It feels like, every few weeks, maybe once a month, there's a quote, an anonymous quote to The Athletic from a random executive talking about how they need to rip up that contract because it really isn't helping the league. And now we've seen the USL Championship, second division, get games on CBS, national CBS. And the final, what was it? I think 40,000 viewers less than the MLS Cup final on Fox. So it was like 460 to 420, give or take. 1,000, of course. If the USL can really push and get out there, get their names out there for these clubs, and find a TV deal that would get them on national TV properly, because during the summer it's kind of a free time because there's not much going on. You're competing with NFL at the tail end. You're competing with NBA, for a bit, but it's really baseball you're competing with for the entire summer. So you kind of have this free reign. That's when USL would need to capitalize, but they need to capitalize through finding something to get.
They do. I mean, there's only some, but at the same time, it's almost one of those things where you feel like between the D1 league and this attempt now at introducing promotion relegation, does MLS start to try and kind of squeeze things? Do they try and amp up the pressure a bit on USL, or do they not? I mean, I don't know what to expect here. I know that there was the whole thing that was going on with the MLS GM survey and like the executive survey that the Athletic do, and some of the people there were saying about how I don't get what USL are doing. I don't understand all of this. This is before the promotion and relegation thing. It felt like some answers were a bit. I mean, there were one or two that were kind of accepting of it, and it felt like some of the responses to it were very kind of snobby, like "get back in your place," kind of.
Yeah.
I do need to also emphasize here that Oakland is going to draw 20,000 this weekend plus. They've already sold 20,000. It's interesting. It's interesting, I think, overall, that there are teams in this league that can have that kind of sway. I mean, there are teams that probably don't have that kind of sway. You've got to focus on bigger markets, I think, in this, rather than in the nicest possible way. Your Lexingtons aren't moving the needle.
Yeah.
Not for season one. If they fight their way up, that's one thing. Promotion, relegation, that's the beauty of it. I mean, I'm not sure how it's going to work in the context of the professional league standards that US Soccer set out, especially the requirements around things like team locations, market sizes, those kind of things. I understand the financial side of it, and I don't disagree with the financial side being there, and even the facility side to an extent, right? Those are standards that, as much as people all say, yeah, but then you get into a point where it's not really pro-rel. I mean, no, it is. Everywhere else also enforces minimum standards at different levels for facilities. Maybe you give a year or two's waiver to get them up to scratch and give people time to get up to the standards, but this is a common theme around the world. I mean, that's one of the big challenges, I think, is how you overcome the PLS. Although the PLS also said that every team had to participate in the Open Cup, and we know what a certain Division 1 league decided to do about that. Maybe the PLS are a little bit more arbitrary than they... I don't know. We'll find out with that. That could be a battle down the line. But it does seem as though USL are working with US Soccer on this, working with staff from US Soccer to try and pull things through. So, I feel as though it's going to be an exciting time. But it's also one of those things where we're here trying to talk about it now, and it's just like, what?
There's nothing.
It's all vague right now, but this feels more concrete when you've got a date on there. You've got a plan for what's going to go in with the new league. I just feel as though that's something that realistically now we're taking actual steps to it. Is it a little late for the World Cup? Maybe not to get that post World Cup buzz. We'll see. Does it impact MLS? I don't know.
Yeah.
MLS, I think, has caused its own problems with the Apple TV deal. As you've said, it doesn't really help for growing the league. It's quite funny to me, the fact that that's what they've done while they've got Messi. It's like they've got the most marketable asset they could possibly have asked for in the league. And this, chucking most of the games on a platform that no one watches outside of existing fans of the league.
It's good quality streams. Like the platform is great.
The production value is great,
amazing,
but it's not outreach.
Yeah,
it's not
you
marketing.
You can't get it. I mean, I know they do a free. They did a free thing with T-Mobile a couple seasons ago, and this season where if you have T-Mobile, you get it free, but not everyone has T-Mobile, so then you got to pay for it. I know they did a few things with season ticket members, but still, that's just not helping them at all. And when it's on Fox too, the coverage is not the same quality that you see on Apple TV by any means. Nope. It is poor when it's on Fox.
Indeed. All right. Well, we got some Open Cup news coming up shortly. We should talk to you, though, about the PHNX Green Jacket Open Scramble that is coming up next month. It's a 2 p.m. shotgun start on April 12th. That is the same day as Rising are playing Detroit City, but that game is home, and that's later in the day. So you got time to go out, get some golf in before that. You can go over, get your tickets at gophnx.com. They've got all kind of fun stuff there with the 18 holes, games throughout the day. They've got raffle tournament prizes, some tea gifts. They're doing a pre-tournament Masters watch party as well, and there will be a food and after round party at Dobson Ranch as well. All that over at Dobson Ranch Golf Course in Mesa. Now, we're trying to bully Max into saying that if you go and if you buy your ticket to go over there, that Max will buy beers. I can't make guarantees, but this man, if you see this man and you're at Dobson Ranch Golf Club on that day, April 12th at 2 p.m. because you've bought yourself a ticket to the PHNX Green Jacket Open Scramble, then this man right down here, you can see him at the bottom of your screen. I'm going to say it now. He is buying beers. He's buying beers.
He's going to turn up?
As long as you are legal age and...
Max turns up.
Max
I think
will be there. No, Mr. Vacations will be there.
itself.
He won't be at the Rising game that night, probably, as a result.
Typical.
Sounds about right. Sounds
Yeah.
about right, doesn't it?
He
Kyle?
probably planned that date alone so he wouldn't show up. For the
Oh, that's
Rising.
such a Max
It
Simpson
does
thing
seem
to do.
planned now.
I
Like
feel like it is, yeah.
we gotta, call a spade where it's a spade. This is planned, Max.
It
Calling
is.
you out.
It is.
It's shameful.
Right, as we are now in our final little run here, we need to talk about it. It is the
greatest
one,
competition.
the only Lamar Hunt US Open Cup, and it's been going first round action underway already. Hartford Athletic. We go for the games yesterday. Hartford Athletic 3, Shockers 0. In other scores, they were also, as my screen freezes, unfortunately, which is going to cause me problems. What's going on?
Ramon. Oh, okay. It's not updated on my end. Ramon said Farolito up. El Farolito.
Al Farolito are currently playing, by the way. Miami FC 4, Naples United 1, New Jersey Alliance 2, Chattanooga Red Wolves 2, with Chattanooga Red Wolves going through on penalties. Sarasota Paradise 1, FC Naples 2, Westchester United 2, Loudoun United 3, Motown 0, Westchester SC 1, Asheville City 0, Greenville Triumph 0. Greenville Triumph win 4-3 on penalties. Texoma FC 1, Foro 2 with the upset there yesterday. Tulsa Athletic 0, FC Tulsa 1, AV Alta 3, Ventura County Fusion 1, and Ventura County, the reserve team of LA Galaxy, 7.
Yeah, I saw
Laguna
that.
United
Brutal.
0. Early games today, Columbus Crew 2, 4. That was always a bit of a weird one to say the 2 in there. New York Renegades 1, Chattanooga 1, Corpus Christi 0 after extra time. Inter Miami 2, 4, Miami United 2. Appalachian 0, 1 Knoxville 3. Big upset, Richmond Kickers 1, Virginia Dream of the Virginia Super Soccer League
Beautiful.
3. Sporting Kansas City 2, 1. Damon's Menace 2. The retirement home goes on. The retirement home goes on.
2 penalties too.
2
wasn't it?
penalties by Sasha Kekistan.
Oh gosh.
We move on. There are some live games right now. I feel like we need to kind of... Oh, there was another one as well. Lexington 5, Southern Indiana 0. Reese, we need you to pull up Little Rock Rangers and talk us through what's going on there right now. Because 88 minutes played, and
There
it's
is
Kevin
just-
McConnell's.
They're just all
They're just kind of
surrounding each
grouped
other.
on there. Nothing's going on right
And they've-
now.
Oh, there must
That's
have
been for like a while by the
Oh.
looks. Pretty nasty one there. 37% possession for Little Rock Rangers, but Kevin McConnell, formerly in the Northern Irish Premiership, this player, is the difference maker there at, I forget the name, is it Episcopal Collegiate School?
It has. I think it has like Wildcats in there, something like that. It has a
Absolutely.
mascot. It's beautiful.
Wildcat Stadium or something like that. Little Rock Rangers 1, Birmingham Legion 0 is the latest score from there as we look around other parts of the Open Cup. El Paso Locomotive at halftime winning 3-0 against Harpos. That one not really a shock. Harpos with 21% possession
Jeez.
in the game so far. They're an amateur team. What do you expect? If you
I
take
know,
it
but that's
seriously,
still-
you take it seriously. And the big one, Real Monarchs 0, 20 minutes into this game. El Farolito 1, and it is Denbo Benson.
It is?
It is Denbo Benson
Yes.
with the only shot that El Farolito have taken with 27% possession. And Denbo Benson, according to this, has got the goal for El Farolito.
Yes.
It's happening again.
Denver
It's
Benson.
happening again.
He was their hero last year, and then went to
it's
Fuego.
insane. Monterey Bay FC also playing tonight against Inter San Francisco, as are LAFC 2 against FC Arizona. And Ballard will be playing Spokane Velocity. A few games tomorrow for you as well in the afternoon. Portland Hearts of Pine get their first ever attempt at an Open Cup, often going against Falenza. South Georgia Tormenta take on Harbor City. Forward Madison playing Duluth. You got the Rough Riders taking on Charlotte Independence. Cincinnati 2 play the New York Pancyprian Freedoms. That is a former winner of the US Open Cup, New York Pancyprian Freedoms, back in the old days. Carolina Core playing Soda City. Tacoma Defiance against Washington Athletic Club. And finally, there's also is that a Friday game?
Yeah, it got postponed.
One
though.
Friday game
Weather.
because of postponement.
Yeah.
Flatirons Rush against Union Omaha.
Yeah, I forgot that one got put. Omaha, like I think there was a blizzard. They said, and they couldn't get to wherever Flatirons plays.
Yeah. Wow. Oof. What
6 minutes of stoppage time for Little Rock.
6 minutes of stoppage time for Little Rock.
Still 1-0.
Oh. Yeah, we're not going to be through the end of it. I think we're going to have to move outside before these games wrap up. But Rees, what a start. The Open Cup is back.
It's the greatest competition in the world. Oh my gosh. Okay, never mind.
They've also got a bigger prize pot this year than
Watch this. The keeper just makes a mess of this.
Is this what this makes for terrible audio and terrible video that people are watching. Rees, I think I'll watch it after we're done, mate. Although I'm watching it now and is that Birmingham Legion's goalkeeper?
Birmingham, yeah.
Oh my gosh, he is terrible.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know what? We're going to leave it there. I think we're going to start wrapping this one up. If you haven't already done so, make sure to go follow us at PHNX__rising. Double the underscore.
Double. I don't know. Double the max absences anymore. I mean,
double the max absences.
What it is,
It could be. To be fair, I mean, he's here at the bottom of your screen, but not here in actual person. Maybe he's just watching Open Cup. To be fair, I don't blame him. That's it.
Yeah.
If that's it, Rees almost skived out to go and watch Open Cup. See, you can see Max there running away from his responsibilities on this podcast. But Max, that's okay. We forgive you, buddy. We forgive you. No, we don't. Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Okay, you can follow me at OGEvans18. You can follow Rees at Rees11_. You can follow our producer Kyle at KCoop Sports. You can follow Max, but don't because...
Don't.
Yeah.
It's just Max.
It's just Max.
You
Make
should know
sure,
better.
come say hi if you see us at the stadium on Saturday. Phoenix Rising taking on Rhode Island. And remember, of course, that we will also have a morning after column as well. We'll have social content on there for PHNX__rising. All that good fun stuff. Max ran away to join the circus. Maybe he could be.
Good point. I didn't consider that one.
I mean,
it would work.
To be fair, circus, Spurs, same kind
Pretty
of
much
thing, right?
same thing.
Same
Pretty
thing,
much.
right? Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Very, very detailed response there from our producer Kyle. Thank you, Kyle.
I'm always here to talk your ear off.
There we go. He does. He's a real big talkative guy. You a big fan of Little Rock Rangers and El Farolito?
Huge fan.
Day one fan. Never been a bigger fan. There isn't one in existence.
I want to know from you guys, what do you think in the goal over the weekend? Was that a clearance or was that?
He's told me it was a clearance.
He went for a goal. No,
he explicitly said that it was a clearance.
I know. I just wanted your thoughts though.
It was funny because I brought it up today with Pa, and he said, because I asked him like, if that was you were a defender. If that was you, would you have claimed it? And he's like, if that was me, it would have gone somewhere completely different.
That's funny.
And then afterwards, he's like, oh, you should ask him. And I said, I already did. And he said he didn't mean it. And he went, oh, well, don't listen to him then.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta claim those.
You gotta claim that. Defenders stop claiming them at some point, and it's just annoying to me. Like, he's not the first one. I remember a few years ago, this is ASU now, so ASU's women's team, and Lucy Johnson put one in the back of the net against the U of A, and it was a cross, and it just curled in.
Yeah.
And afterwards, you ask her, like, did you mean that? And she goes, no. And it's like, no, you're supposed to say yes. You meant that. You saw the keeper off their line. You were aiming for that, right? That was the plan.
Jamali Waite wasn't even that far off his line. It was just
I know.
that perfect.
I know. But wow. Well, you know what? I think we're getting now to a point where we're going to have to finally really wrap this one up. Not least because I kind of want to go outside and watch the end of this Little Rock Rangers against Birmingham Legion game, don't you?
I do.
I almost want to watch El Farolito as well, to be perfectly frank.
Who doesn't? Come on.
El Farolito doing it again. Burritos for the boys tomorrow.
Beautiful.
Yes?
Let's go.
I feel like tomorrow's a burrito day now. If they pull this off once again. The Open Cup team.
Denver Benson, my hero.
Denver Benson. When are you getting signed up here, Rees?
For what?
Get him in the championship. I don't care.
Oh, I mean, he was
The man
with Fuego
scores.
last year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Fuego.
Is Phoenix Rising legend Zach Smuck was also with also with Fuego last year too.
You're getting there eventually. Well done, Rees. It's okay.
I know, it took a while.
Wow, what a What a time. What a time. I think it is time for us to go here. Again, remember, we will be available on social over the weekend. You'll find all of our content, PHX__rising. We'll have that written column up for you on Sunday, and we'll be back here. I won't be, but these guys will be. I'm actually
Mr. Vacations.
I know, apparently so. That's fine. I won't edit your piece then later on. We will be back. There will be a podcast next Wednesday again, and until then, it's a beautiful game, but it's way more beautiful when
Max isn't.
That's harsh.
No, I don't know.
When multiple USL teams go down in the cup.
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
kind of
good too.
funny, to be fair, to amateur teams especially. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.